What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Spencer. So I looked at Stardust like a long time ago, and I think it was right when the new Majestic cards came out. I didn't know what I was doing back in the day, obviously, and people way smarter than me have figured out like much better combos. So these two combos I did find in these two separate videos, but when I watched them, they didn't make any sense to me. Because they just either there was no commentary and like cards have effects and I don't know what those card effects are. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to break them down step by step. But where I found them, like go like and subscribe to their channels. One of the guy has like a bunch of subscribers. But the other dude is like a small channel, but obviously very smart for figuring this stuff out because obviously I couldn't when I tried. I'm going to talk about the nuances because there's like a billion. This is not a beginner deck at all. It's very complicated. So this is like a little bit of a worse combo, but it's like specific for something. So like one of your mainline combos, like the best version of this comes down to Stardust Synchron. This card is stupid. It's so good. It revives itself. It searches out like two really good cards, but every once in a while, like this is your alternate combo. So every once in a while, if you have to use Stardust Synchron to go into Junk Speeder, which you can, which is crazy, because you can make this a 3, and then I'll show you how in a second. But sometimes you do have to make this a 3, meaning you can't search twice. Because really what the card you want to search is this Majestic card that lets you stack the Majestic Dragon on top of the deck and then draw it. But so this is if you have to use Stardust Synchron to level manipulate, basically, like you do in this hand. This is like an example. So if you don't control any monsters, it's a free special summon there. And then you can normal summon. So this is a 6, obviously. Not good. So Stardust Synchron is going to search you the Stardust Illuminate. This lets you Foolish Barrel Stardust monster. And this engine is self-sustaining, which is really cool. Because basically what this card says is it lets you send a Stardust monster from your deck to the graveyard. Or if you control Stardust or a Synchro monster that lists Stardust Dragon as text, you can special summon instead. Don't worry about that. But you can banish this card from your graveyard, then target a Stardust monster you control, increase or decrease its level by 1 until the end of the turn. So, literally, you can send another Stardust Synchron, which is awesome. I really like that effect. Meaning that this engine just is everything, if that kind of makes sense. Like, sometimes, like, if you open Stardust Illumination, it's also very good. Because if you have, like, one of, like, either... Like you have a level 2 on board, which there's plenty of targets. You can like send one, and then if you have an extra copy, like if you had a free special summon for the non-tuner, you can normal summon any tuner, activate Illumination, send a Stardust, tribute it, and then lower it. You see what I'm saying? So this card has a lot of use. This card's really awesome. But the card is now in the graveyard, and we can decrease its level by 1, meaning it comes down to a 5. This is where things get a little wacky. So Junk Speeder. This card is, you have to use a Synchron tuner. So obviously Stardust is a Synchron, which is important. If this card is special summoned, you can special summon as many Synchron tuners as possible at different levels from your deck. So if you have a 5, you have to. Like you do not have a choice in the matter. Like I said, this is a combo that's not as great, but because you had to use Synchron, you got to get a little creative, right? Or because you use the search ability for Stardust Synchron. But yeah, you cannot special summon from the extra deck except Synchro monsters, of course. Could you imagine? The turn you activate this effect, with this card, don't worry about it. Just know that it summons 5. This thing's gone. So from the deck, and this is important. Two of these are important, actually. So... Road Synchron, very important, and Necro Synchron, essential. Gent Synchron's off the ban list, which is pretty cool. It searches a Synchron monster. Always nice to have this back in the deck. And it does come up in the second combo. In this combo, it's not actually important. Okay, so we're going to use the effect of Necro Synchron. So you can only use the following effects of this card once per turn. You can target one other face-up monster you control, increase its level by 2. And then if this card is sent to the graveyard to sync ritual for a win monster, you can special summon one level 1 plant monster from your deck, which we do play a copy of. So we're going to go ahead and increase this level to 6. Then we can synchro this off into Clearwing Synchro Dragon. Technically, if they try to activate Nibiru here. They probably wouldn't, though. They would just on-summon of junk. If you get lucky, though... Oh, it has to be on the field. Never mind. Just kidding. This card is only used as like material for higher synchros. It's literally the only reason. Like I said, when that's sent to the graveyard, you can go ahead and go for the plant there. I don't know if I mentioned this, but this is Junk Synchron and this is Quick Draw Synchron. You actually don't even use this card during this combo, but yeah. So we can go ahead and special summon a level 1 from the deck. That's Necro Fleur. Then you can synchro those off, those meaning the Road Synchron and the Necro. So this is obviously, you know, a 5 here. And we can use the effect. So to search Black Garden. This card is usually used in like FTKs. But in this case, it's not. It's actually used for a combo. It's actually used for what it's supposed to, for the most part. So basically, if a monster is normal special summon, you can have its attack. Then the controller of that monster special summons 1 Rose token to their opponent's field and attack position. So normally, like, you destroy them for damage, and that's how you win. But in this case, you can target 1 monster in your graveyard with attack equal to the total attack of all plant monsters on the field. Destroy this card and as many plant monsters on the field. Destroy this card and as... Oh, sorry. I just read that twice. And if you destroyed all of them, special summon the targeted monsters. So they have 800 attack. So a pretty clean number, right? So it has to be in multiples of 800. Road Synchron is, so that kind of fills that requirement. And use this actually for the other combo too, but you use it for a different reason, which is kind of interesting. But we can go ahead and change, you know, Clearwing and the Jet Synchron into a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. So that's the first token. And then we can go into a Psyframe Lord Omega to pitch a card out of our opponent's hand. And that comes for the second token. And now we can destroy all plant monsters in the tokens. So that's 1600. And that attack, of course, comes out to 1600 here. And you are actually going to go and get rid of this and go into Baron de Fleur. And you're like, why would you do that? That's crazy, right? Even though this card is technically better than Crystal Wing. So Black Rose Maiden doesn't just add Black Garden from deck to hand. And actually, you can banish it to target a Dragon Synchro monster in your graveyard to special summon it. So that's exactly what we're going to do to bring this back. So we're pitching a card out of our opponent's hand, and we have an Omni Negate and a Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. Definitely not the worst thing in the world, and it's also just an alternate combo. That's the worst case scenario, and I would say that's pretty good, all things considered. But this is like every other time, this is what you're using. So this is just a test hand. You don't have to worry about it like the other cards in your hand so much. So basically, Junk Converter by itself is full combo, so you can go ahead and pitch whatever. But you probably want to keep these hand traps in case your opponent Dark Ruler demurs you. Forbidden Droplets actually isn't good against this deck, and you'll see why in a moment. But so Junk Synchron lets you pitch a tuner and a Synchron. Or let's pitch this card and a Synchron to add, and a tuner to add a Synchron from deck to hand. So, of course, you're going to add Junk Synchron. So, when this card is normal summon, you can target a level 2 or lower monster in your graveyard, special summon in defense position. Its effects are negated, who cares? So, you can go ahead and bring back the Junk Converter, which is a Synchro 5. Alright, so this is where it gets for reals, because this combo is crazy. So, Junk Speeder activates, like I said, special summon as many Synchron monsters as possible, and you are going to use all of them this time. Okay, so from the deck, we're going to go ahead and special summon a Junk Synchron, another one of it, because it's the only 3 that you play in the deck. Stardust Synchron, this still lets you search. This doesn't negate their effects on their summon. This you don't have to worry about this too much. Junk Synchron we are going to be using, and then Quick Draw Synchron. It's actually just going to be tribute fodder for Stardust Synchron, which is kind of cool. Okay, so effect when it's special summon, we can add a, what does it call it? 1 spell or trap from your deck that's specifically the Stardust Dragon. So this is Arrive in the Light. When this card is activated, place 1 level 1 dragon monster from your hand or deck. So important, because if you open up the Majestic Dragon, you could still go through your combo. It's not a brick. I mean, it's a brick. You don't want to see it, but it's not. It doesn't end your combos. There's no game-ending bricks as far as I know. I run 2 copies of at least every level. So Jet Synchron, I also run the Dragon Synchron, the Rocket Synchron, I should say. And then I do run 2 copies of all this. This actually isn't bad because you can special summon it by sending a monster to your hand or graveyard. So if you have Junk Synchron in your hand and you send like a level 2 that you don't need, like the non-tuner level 2s, like you've just gone full combo as well. So there's a bit of application. In any case, basically when you Okay, you place a level 1 dragon. Cool beans. If a synchro monster is special summoned, you can activate one of these effects. And then you draw a card. You can actually use both. You can draw a card and special summon a tuner from your hand, which is awesome. But we're not going to activate that yet. So we're going to go ahead and go into the the Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. And then we can activate Arriving Light. We're going to stack, of course, the Converging Wills Dragon. And we can change those into Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. So it looks pretty similar so far, right? Nothing too crazy. But now we can trigger the effect. So Synchro Dragon, draw a card. And this is important. So when this is sent to the graveyard, you could technically search a junk monster, but this misses timing. So don't worry about it. You're good. You don't need any more effects. This is a win effect. So this card says, cannot be used as synchro material except for the synchro summon of a Majestic monster. This card's name becomes Majestic Dragon, because I think it was like a vanilla before, if I'm not mistaken. But when you draw this card, like I said, that's a win effect. You can reveal it, special summon this card from your hand. Then if you control a level 8 or higher dragon synchro monster, you can special summon one level 1 dragon monster from your deck. And you can only use this effect once per turn. So we do have those conditions. This is a level 8 synchro dragon. And from the deck, we can go and summon an Omni Dragon Brotor. Yes, this card is an important factor in this. So if a card you control is destroyed by battle or an opponent's card effect, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. Don't worry about that. But banish it when it leaves the field. If this card is special summoned, you can target one face-up monster on the field, discard one card, and if you do, add one monster from your deck to your hand with the same type and attribute as that target, but a different name. So this actually isn't just a dragon support card. So what you're going to go ahead and do is target your junk Synchron. It's a level 3 Dark Warrior. So we can pitch, like in this case, Nibiru, it's fine, right? Because these are still good interruptions. You don't want to clear your board. You're going to have a bunch of monsters on there. But so this is going to be Doppel Warrior, right? Same type and attribute. So Warrior, Dark, it doesn't have to be the same level. And this is going to add Doppel Warrior. So literally as long as you can make Junk Synchron, you can do or Junk Speeder, you can make this combo work. So using the Brotor and the Stardust Synchron, we can go ahead and make TG Hyper Librarian and everything. This card, every time you synchro summon, you get to draw a card. And then Junk Synchron, you get to tribute a monster to special summon it back to the field. The Quick Draw Synchron can only be used for very specific monsters. It's also a level 5 tuner, which is kind of awkward. So we don't have to worry about all of that. Stardust Synchron can just go ahead and tribute it. In a forced tuner, much better. So that's going to trigger Doppel. When a monster is special summoned from your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. If this card is sent to the graveyard as synchro material, you can special summon 2. It doesn't say up to 2, it has to be 2 token. So if you only have one zone open, you don't get a token. So that you just have to keep that in mind. And this trigger and this effect is not once per turn, so we're going to actually end up triggering it twice. A little bit of a weird hand, but we can go ahead and fix that all up. And again, we're going to be making Black Rose like towards the end of the combo. So this Crystal Wing is going to come back again. But this is it. This is one of the boss. I have to say one of them. But this is Shooting Majestic Star Dragon. It's an Omni Negate. So first must be Synchro Summon. Once per turn, you can negate the effects of one effect monster your opponent controls. This card gains one additional attack each battle phase for every monster in your graveyard. That is Stardust Dragon, or it's a Synchro monster that lists Stardust Dragon in its text. And I don't think you're going to have that, but once per turn, your opponent activates a card or effect. You can banish this card until the end phase, negate the activation if you do. So no callback on this, which is pretty important, of course. But you're going to have a bunch of negates anyways. But we're going to start drawing a bunch of cards. And then Doppel Warrior, when it's sent to the graveyard as synchro material, 2 tokens. So it's very important that you place this in the extra monster zone. It doesn't really matter what you draw. Like, you kind of just want to draw hand traps, maybe. Okay, so then we can churn like one of these tokens. It's a level 1 token into the Garden Rose Maiden, which is going to draw us a card. So we can add Black Garden and draw an additional card. So we draw into an Effect Veiler, kind of nice. But we can go ahead and use the effect of Jet Synchron in the graveyard. Crazy this card came back. Really cool. But you can send a card from your hand to the graveyard to special summon this card. Then we can change those into a Celestial Double Star Shaman. using the token in the Jet Synchron. It's just a Synchro 2. When this card is Synchro Summon, you can special summon up to 4 level 2 non-tuner monsters from your hand and or graveyard in defense position, but they have their effects negated. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except Synchro. No worries. We don't need anything else. We're going to draw a card, and then we're going to bring back the Doppel Warrior, hopefully using its effect again, right? So a little bit of a weird board here, but it's very important that this is a tuner, because there's a very big boss monster that requires a bunch. So before you go into that boss monster, make sure you activate Black Garden here. And then we can turn those into a shooting Quasar Dragon. Must be Synchro Summon. This card's maximum number of attacks per battle phase equals the number of non-tuner monsters used as its Synchro material. So 2. Once per turn, when a card or effect is activated, quick effect, you can negate the activation if you do destroy it. Kind of the same thing, right? When this face-up card leaves the field, you can special summon 1 Shooting Star Dragon from your extra deck. Which I guess you could play, but I don't. You don't need it, trust me, once you see the end board. So kind of 2 Omni Negates that are 4,000 attack bodies. So it does have the attack, but like once you use the effect once, it leaves the field. So it comes back as 4. So really you should probably play this. You should probably just play this in defense position, and probably just all the monsters too, right? But you can go ahead and turn Junk Synchron and the Doppel Warrior into Excel Synchron. So this lets you level manipulate. So it says once per turn you can send a Synchron monster from your deck to the graveyard to activate one of these effects. Increases card's level by the level of the sent monster. Reduce this card's level by the level of the sent monster. You don't have to worry about the quick effect Synchro. It's not important. So there comes the second token and the third, right? Because it's the Synchro monster plus these 2 tokens. Once tokens come out as 1, it counts as like 1. But now we can use the effect, so we can destroy all plant monsters and the tokens on the other side. And it ends up coming out to 2,400, right? 800 plus 800 plus 800. So we're using the effect for a completely different reason now. And then we can go ahead and Foolish Burial a Junk Synchron to change the level of this monster. And now we can turn those into a Martial Metal Marcher. So this used to be in Link Ross combos. But if this card is Synchro Summon, you can target a tuner in your graveyard, special summon in defense position when its effects are negated. Who cares? And then you actually Synchro Summon, so you get to draw a card. So you can bring back the Accel Synchron, which is a Synchro tuner. And now we can convert those 2 into Herald of Arclight. Pretty neat, right? Pretty neat. And this card's actually, it is an Omni Negate, but more importantly, Forbidden Droplets. You can't send cards from hand to graveyard, which is what Forbidden Droplets does. Here it is. Send any number of cards from your hand and or field to the graveyard. So any card sent from the hand is banished instead. So they have to use cards from their field. And we're not done yet, of course. So TG, that's another draw. And then we can turn the TG and the Accel Synchron into a Fleur. And if you remember, Black Rose Garden's in the graveyard. Bring that back, Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon. So, yeah, this board is obvious. Like, this is the craziest board you could pretty much make, like, in Yu-Gi-Oh! I feel like. Like, it doesn't get more insane than this now that big floodgates like VFD are gone. So the thing is, like, you're going to play a bunch of multiples of, like, cards you don't need, and you're going to draw into them, but you're going to see them in your opening hand, but it doesn't matter. All you need is Junk Speeder, and everything just sorts itself out from there. Like having all you needed to do is make Junk Synchron. Like, it's all you have to worry about. Every other card is not important, because once this board is up, I mean, like, yes, Dark Rule no more. Like, that's what I'm thinking. But you have, like, you're going to draw into a lot of your stuff. Like, if this was my end board, okay, I would have a Forbidden Droplet, an Ash, and Effect Veiler. If they Dark Rule no more me for the last, like, remaining 4 cards. And Forbidden Droplets just isn't enough. They can negate maybe 1 monster, which is cool, but that's about it. So yeah, those were the 2 combos. Kind of crazy, obviously, but it does make a little more sense once you, like, do it a few times. And like, this combo is the one you're normally going to be doing. Only in extreme circumstances would you do the other one, which isn't a bad combo either, in my opinion. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Other than that, that's going to do it for today's video, and I'll see you guys next time.